Wow, that that was a ceremony. I don't know what the hot take is from it. AJ being overjoyed at his girl finally getting the word Oscar nominee in front of her name. Owen probably reacting to something, but thanks to internet issues, we will find out in about 4 hours.
71% right now, I think.
Hey, it was 70 when you like a few minutes ago.
It only went up 1%, AJ. Only
Yes.
1%.
We're almost there.
She is displeased.
Our collective probably what the hell John Williams.
Tell me about it. That
And
joke's
then
funny.
the one I want to point out more so, because I think that was the biggest take from my live stream. Regarding not regarding, oh, so and so missed, like all the press are trying to do. I can't think for what film. I can. Why did Diane Warren get like a standing ovation?
Because everyone's in on it now.
Yeah.
It was
it's
like
the worst kept secret in the world
it's
right
like
now.
the fire inside from Flaming Hot, and there was like a pause and like I don't know if it's because the words "I'm just Ken" came up on the screen, or whether they just literally gave Diane Warren like 10 seconds. I don't know. And
Yeah,
she's gonna lose to
I
Billie
kind
Eilish
of
again.
thought. I kind of thought that was an "I'm just Ken" reaction, but it could have been a Diane Warren reaction.
I mean, because it went for that long. I was like, I wasn't paying attention to when the graphic came up for "I'm just Ken" or not, because I was trying to get on the spreadsheet and type everything up. So it was like as far as I from Flaming Hot, and I was like, yeah, like okay, announce the next one, yeah. Oh, have we forgotten vocabulary? Do we not know how to say words? Why are we? Why are they still clapping? Oh, finally we cut.
Most of my video is basically, well, you'll see someday. Most of my video is basically me saying, okay, this is next, this is next. Oh, that's not next. Never mind. And I was today years old when I realized who does the Diane Warren nominated song. That's Becky G. So that checks off the boxes too.
We know who's performing it at the Oscars.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. Oh, I need to pause that so it's not just.
Oh, it went down in. It's now 69 currently. So it went down from 71. That's great. That's a good sign.
Okay.
And I literally can't do anything because I'm filming on the device that it's uploading with right now.
So yeah. I'm Ashley. They're AJ and Owen. Let's discuss the 96 Academy Award nominations. In all its... I mean, I didn't appreciate the lobby music that we had for too long. Although, when I tuned in, it was just color bars and... like... I can't hear. Hello? I'm going deaf because of big... I'm going to hear it for that long that my ears are basically going to go in old age, and I'm not going to hear anything. I'm going to be... It's going to be like a dog whistle. It'll be like... There's something happening in there.
I just felt like I was about ready to watch a 70s cop show.
Or, for those that know, the Easter egg on the Boogie Nights DVD, at least in the American release.
That's fair.
Why isn't it on the European release? You bastards. It's practically lost media now, I feel.
Uncomfortablesilence.com. Let's go.
Josie's going to be running a little late, finishing up her food shopping.
Yes.
Bry managed to get. I guess the weather was bad enough for Bry to stay in and do the live reactions. Although pointing out that they got a YouTube ad that meant that they missed editing. Care to talk, Owen?
Yeah. Brian, we had the same issue. The only difference is I went and immediately clicked, and luckily I heard the words "Anatomy of a Fall" before, and I didn't miss anything, so we were good.
Yeah, YouTube ads are the worst thing, the most worthless, evasive, invasive things ever. So I was shocked I didn't have that problem.
And you normally have the worst internet of all three of us most of the time. That's the weird thing.
I literally, like, 20 minutes ago, I was watching something and I screamed "fuck off" at a Lysol ad. Like, I'm just so...
Hey, to be fair, those ads are paying creators like us cents on the dollar.
Allegedly.
Unless you do video game content, then you have to share those cents on a dollar and cut it right in half.
Something like that. Right. Spencer says, "Freaking zone." I'm trying to work out if that's in relation to anything exactly, or just we're in the freaking zone, man.
I'm assuming that's excitement over the zone of interest if I had to
I
guess.
would have thought so.
Yeah.
Especially because Spencer follows it up with "yay."
Well, he also was talking about it last night too, like it was the second coming, and he basically said that I liked it even more than Anatomy of a Fall, and I'm like, I love Anatomy of a Fall, so I'm really hyped for Zone of Interest now.
Also saying, "AJ, my soul to take rules." Again, I'm hoping that's the film My Soul to Take, and not AJ is literally taking your soul.
So Spencer's watching Wes Craven week.
I'm gonna forever disagree with you, Spencer. I'm sorry. As much of a John Magara fan as I am now after past lives, I still can't do anything with My Soul to Take. It doesn't. No.
Spencer also says, "Weird how I was right about Robbie missing yesterday, and a weird snub for Killers, Flower Moon, and Screenplay. Weird VFX lineup. I love America Ferrera. Creator, Mission Impossible, Napoleon, surprisingly strong. We'll get to one of them at least.
We'll talk about
Academy
later.
nominated Emily Blunt. Bryce saying being uploaded now.
Same here.
Yeah, you know what the very first thing I did was this is what I used to do back in the day before IMDb was a pile of shit, but I went back to an old tradition. I had to go to her IMDb page so I could go to the awards section and see nominated for an Oscar under it.
Oh my god, I remember do that.
Yeah, I also love that Bradley Cooper is up to fucking 12 now. He's gonna be how many did Deakins reach before he finally got it?
13, I think, because it was the unlucky.
I was gonna say it was pretty close to that.
Well, my response to that is Greta still has some time.
I mean, it's not the number that like the sound guy for Hacksaw Ridge had. Didn't he have like 36 or something before he finally won?
I think so. We're verging on Diane Warren levels.
Who's it Lucci?
Also, No Air sucks. Yay for screenplay for May December. Sucks for Melton and Priscilla. Bry also saying we go by the order of how they announce, so hopefully Owen's got that because.
Nope, totally don't.
Well, okay, hang on. Let me get.
One of the worst things in the world.
Oh, hang on, it'll be in Owen's YouTube history. I would have thought.
Yeah, it should be.
Because
hi Tim.
That's what myself and oh, it actually isn't. Okay.
Tim said duck and has a picture of a duck. And then right after that, because Josie comes in because She's the queen of the emoticons, so.
Oh wow! I searched Oscar 2024 nominations, and apparently we're third listed on search results. I don't know whether that's because it's fixed or not. Yeah.
Yes, it will help.
Oh wow!
We got an answer finally.
Why are they saying this was streamed 9 hours ago and then it starts from the 3-minute mark? Because that's a lie. It started from like the 9-minute mark. So yeah, I'm literally bringing up the YouTube feed.
So while Ashley is killing time, I'm gonna go ahead and say Josie's lines here. Josie said, "Hey folks, it's funny you had a duck in the background because I just bought a purple sweet potato that was shaped like a duck."
Nice.
Very unique. Josie also watched Hard Boiled today, and it was fantastic. So happy for the 11 nods for Poor Things in all caps. I'm so relieved it got in directing and editing, 2 key categories. Happy for Sterling K. Brown. Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Josie says, so pissed. No Joe Hisaki in original score for The Boy and the Heron. What BS? Parsnip says that I miss I just combined them. Did I miss me and AJ's reactions? No, AJ's is up. Mine is still in purgatory hell right now.
AJ should be there.
They're there. So happy Godzilla -1 got into VFX. Josie,
ignore the live tab. It'll be on videos.
I might watch it. It's possible. It just depends on if I have anything else to watch. With Zone of Interest on Friday. History there, because I believe it's the first woman head VFX artist nominated. Josie said she would make history if she won. Apparently, 6:30 is when Brian's video will publish, so look out for that.
It does show you, when you looked up some of the reactions and you saw the reaction the team had when Godzilla -1 got its nomination. That's when it kind of sets in that every category matters.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's like one of the really lower ones, because somewhere for every category somebody's celebrating like that.
For sure.
I really appreciate the guy on the camera going, "Let's go!"
That's the correct answer always. I muted that loud warble until it changed screen, said Parsnip Burger. My dog was upset by that. Oh, that makes sense. Parsnip Burger is YouTube Premium. That's why there's no ads. That makes sense. Josie says, people are acting like no women are nominated in directing when Justine Triet is there. Greta is not the only female director that exists. The rightful woman got in, at least to me. I'm a Greta Mark, and I agree with you.
I'm assuming those people don't even know what Anatomy of a Fall is.
Guaranteed.
They probably saw Justine Triet's name and assumed it was Justin something, and then moved on.
It's Justin Timberlake under a pseudonym because of the Britney stuff.
Lord. Josie says, so happy Justine got in. I think all of us are, honestly. Mm-hmm. I'm so happy Anatomy of a Fall made it into editing. Me too. I think all of us agree with that as well. Brian called Parsnip Burger a show off. Josie says, was hoping for a Milo Mikado Grainer surprise, but oh well. Yeah, if Sessa wasn't going to get in, then Milo wasn't going to get in.
That further driving home my point about young actors. It's really fucking hard for them to break through.
Yeah, very true. Brian says, I figured out what it's going to be. My bonus film, I got 3 nominations. The text. Gee, I wonder what it's going to be. Spencer, I too am upset over no Charles Melton, says Josie. Josie also heard Run Around by Blues Traveler on the radio today. Parsnip says, who said that it would be higher than Anatomy in the entrance level? 5 nominations. Talking about Zone of Interest. Rented Red Rock West. Must I watch tonight, says Josie.
Yes.
There you go. Arizona Dreams and A Simple Plan as well.
Simple Plan's a great choice too.
Annette Benning, yes. Screwed up my predictions, but I should have known it all along, Parsnip Burger. If Owens is uploading, where is AJ's? AJ's is on the channel, and it's doing quite well for views-wise.
So that's a little alarming that he has to ask. Is it like hard to find?
It's on the. It will be top of the videos tab because it's usually sorted by the most recent.
It is under
It's
AJ's
just
2024 Academy Awards Oscar nominations reactions, which is the same title of mine if it ever uploads. And it currently has 61 views right now as of this very moment. And mine is still stuck at 69 views. Not views.
percent.
So tomorrow you will get my reactions to everything. But I made sure to say what time it was, even though I didn't show you. Next year I'll show you.
I love how that's the second reference you've made to Bill and Ted, which means there's just so much foreshadowing to the fact that we're about to talk about Napoleon.
AJ's video is not in my subscriber feed, but all your videos usually are. Found it, but had to go to the channel.
Oh, that's great. Nice. Thanks, YouTube.
I'm not sure why that's the case.
That's
I put
why
it up
you
like I
ring the
normally.
bell to be notified when videos go up. And if you are, then thanks, YouTube. Susan, whatever your name is.
Yeah, this sounds like a blame YouTube situation.
So we are moving on to a discussion now. So yeah, we'll keep on chat as long as we can. So yeah, AJ's video's up, Ashley's live stream is up, and probably sometime the next decade you'll get mine. So, but that's what tonight's all about. We're going to discuss everything. And obviously there are a lot of people that are talking about snubs. A lot of people are talking about surprises, most of which we called one way, shape, or form anyway. There's not many real surprises this year.
I'm laughing my ass off at all the headlines I'm seeing about DiCaprio being snubbed.
Yeah, weird.
Like, are you fucking paying any attention at all?
Why
course
is the answer
not.
no?
Ashley, get on that when you get a chance. Check to see what's going on with AJ's video, because it looks fine on my end.
I mean, if it's not appearing in people's feeds, I'd have to. I'll go on my tablet and see if it appears there, even though I barely use the feed stuff.
Like I said, I don't want that to sound like DiCaprio hate, because DiCaprio is actually amazing in Kills the Flower Moon, but he was just never in the race, and I don't know how. Well, I do know how you can miss that if you're just not looking, but
True.
So yes, beginning off as was presented for supporting actor, which went for Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction,
Yes.
Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling for Barbie, and Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things.
I don't know if anybody else watched Sterling K. Brown's 6-minute Instagram video. Where he talks about his amazing reaction, but he also said that somebody mentioned something to him as far as statistics go, and I couldn't believe it, but when I looked it up, it seemed to check out, where he and Jeffrey Wright are the first Black actors to be nominated in leading and supporting actor for the same movie.
That's awesome.
It's happened a lot for actor and supporting actress, but never before now for actor and supporting actor, which I couldn't believe it when I heard it, but when I looked it up, it checks out. So
Pretty awesome, actually. So in the case of the three of us, all of us got 4 because all of us went against Willem Dafoe for different reasons. AJ didn't have Sterling K. Brown, Ashley didn't have Mark Ruffalo, and I didn't have Robert De Niro.
I'm not just for my prediction's sake. I was more happy than I thought I would be about Ruffalo.
I was so happy because I was like, yes!
It was baffling that he fell off so hard. And then it was just like, I can't let him go. There's no way they don't go for him if you see that performance. And that's one of those things where you just... Sometimes it's just too good to miss. And that's what happened.
See, that's the funny thing is, you talk about all the headlines everywhere, and I see that Sterling K. Brown being in that list is a big surprise. And I'm like, no, it's not. Probably to people who are not paying attention.
Yeah, Sterling K. Brown's story was that he was psyched about his SAG nomination, and when he showed it to his kid basically said, "Let me know when you get an Oscar nomination. The SAG awards don't impress me." And when so this morning he showed him, and he said you could see his wheels turning where he was trying to make it less than it was, but you can't help but notice it's a big deal, even when it's your day.
I still feel dumb about dropping De Niro, even though I kind of talked myself out of it.
I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised he made it because I've been feeling a lot lately. He had the Daniel Bruhl type snub written all over him, where he gets everything and then misses for somebody more. I don't know if I want to say inspired because De Niro is amazing in Killers, but yeah, if there was going to be like some left turn, I still feel like it would have been De Niro that took the fall. But
Yeah.
yeah. So
Hindsight being 2020, as what we know now, they went very heavily into Killers, and I should have known back then that was going to happen.
Yeah, because the one big snub for it was the one most of us saw coming.
Yep. And of course,
I of course don't mean DiCaprio. I mean adapted screenplay.
What we're talking about here, obviously, is we have to, because this is going to be a long show, I can tell already, because we talked 3 hours on the BAFTAs, and this is the biggest show of the year, so yeah, we're going to go a while. The thing about it is, Gosling looks like $1 million here, because he went on record today and put over the movie, put over Robbie, put over Greta, and basically said this was a collaborative effort. There's no Ken without Barbie, when the internet blew up when Margot and Greta got snubbed today. And like I said, Josie said earlier, Trier getting in over Gerwig. Honestly, I'm a Greta Mark. Everybody knows that. I wear it proudly as a badge of honor. AJ knows. The thing is, I agree. Trier belongs here, and I'm glad, even though we're getting way ahead of ourselves, it's justified.
That's another thing too, though, where this is the annoying part of the season where you can't tell if entertainment journalists just aren't watching the race or if they're just trying to. Obviously they want headlines,
of course.
But the thing is the big push behind Gerwig and Robbie, the really, really big push for Gerwig and Robbie, wasn't until pretty recently.
Right.
Because while Barbie was always being mentioned throughout the race since the beginning, when you go back to like August and September, and maybe even a little bit of October, they were always at the bottom of their list, if not off them completely. There were so many predictions back in the day that didn't have Robbie, and many were missing Gerwig, I feel like. I know mine were like, I don't know if I'm just remembering mine, but I feel like I wasn't alone at that time.
You were not at all.
Yeah, for a while, Gerwig and Robbie were kind of struggling, and Gosling was the only thing that was really always present. But the thing people also don't understand is the different categories are different races with different contenders.
Yeah.
So Gosling did not have near the competition that Robbie had or Gerwig. Certainly not what Gerwig had. Director was fucking crazy.
Tell me about it.
So when you're actually watching, it's not totally out. Most snubs are not totally outlandish if you're fucking looking.
No. Not at all.
It's just a matter of, like I said, when you have stuff like Critics' Choice building its own narrative, and that's what people see, then they're gonna think, oh, I thought they probably would have. A lot of people were probably expecting Barbie to have the most nominations based on the narrative Critics' Choice, and then we're trying to kick off. But yeah, and I even fell into it because I had Gerwig and Barbie at the last minute, even though I didn't for most of the season. But when neither one of them, I mean, I was a little surprised by Robbie because it really felt like her momentum was building, but at the end of the day, I'm not surprised.
No.
Because it's just so competitive. Because we still lost Greta Lee.
Yeah.
Greta Lee disappeared a long time ago, unfortunately. And so, yeah. But I do love that Because my prediction and what I was afraid of was that Robbie was going to get in at the expense of Sandra Hüller.
Yeah.
So Robbie getting in would have been nice, but I'm grateful that choosing between Robbie and Hüller, they went Hüller. So
Agreed.
that's just the way it goes.
And I might as well mention it here because I'll probably forget at another point. We had 10 first-time acting nominations this year. Which is, I think, the first time we've had that many new entries in a while.
So that's exactly 50% then.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we had that many last year from the top of my head.
Real quick.
Just scanning over it, just right away you can see all the new people.
Brian had Cess over Ruffalo. Parsnip says, sometimes I have a hard time separating my like of the character to my feeling of the actor. Not always, but I did not like Leo's character in Killers, so I wasn't rooting for him. Same with Saltburn. Interesting. On the opposite side, sometimes it is the actor. I never liked Oprah, so no one was more satisfied when she missed for the butler. Yeah. Brian's reaction is out and says, last year was 16 out of 20 first-timers. Moving on to the next category.
Which was costume design.
I gotta find it.
Which, just to give you even more time, I'll actually name them. So we have Jacqueline Duran for Barbie, Jacqueline West for Killers of the Flower Moon. People also not called Jacqueline, like Janty Yates and Dave Crossman for Napoleon. Ellen Mirojenik for Oppenheimer, and Holly Waddington for Poor Things.
All right, so before we go any further, I'll explain how the panel did. AJ went with the color purple instead of Killers of the Flower Moon. He got 4. Ashley went with Maestro and Saltburn instead of Napoleon and Oppenheimer. Interesting to go against Oppenheimer in any category at this point. And I had 4 as well with picking Maestro instead of Napoleon. Napoleon probably should have been here. Costumes are something I understand. I get why that was something that was there. Looking back at it, I feel it was stupid that I didn't go with it, and I regret it. So
this was the only place I went for Napoleon, I think.
There might be another one, but I don't remember.
I considered it for production design, but I'm pretty sure I didn't say it. I definitely didn't go for it for visual effects.
You did? No. Okay, never mind. No, you didn't. You didn't say production design. I just looked up at production design a second ago. And Brian had Napoleon over Color Purple.
Color Purple had a rough day.
Tell me about it. Oh my gosh. Speaking of Butler, remember how AJ went all in on actor for Forrest Whitaker?
I stand by that because he got that SAG nomination.
There you go.
And when SAG has my back, I still feel good. I still feel good about when they had my back this year for Willem Dafoe, even though it didn't happen. It's like SAG comes through a lot. I think there's a reason it's my favorite show of all of them.
Then we had makeup and the hair.
Okay.
Where we have Karen Hartley Thomas, Susie Battersby, and Ashra Kelly Blue for Golda. Kazuhiro K. Georgiou and Laurie McCoy Bell for Maestro. Louisa Abel for Oppenheimer. Yeah, she's the only one that did makeup and hair for the entire cast. What's that about? Nadia Stacy, Mark Coolio, and Joss Weston for Poor Things. And then Ana Lopez Pugseva, David Mati, and Montse Ribe for Society of the Snow.
Happy to say I'm 5 for 5 in this category. Don't know how that happened.
I literally said in the video, I'm thinking about Society of the Snow instead of Ferrari, and then I didn't do it. Ferrari fucking struck out completely.
Yep. So Ashley, of course, went with Beau is Afraid instead of Golda, and the aforementioned AJ going with Ferrari instead of Society of the Snow.
First time in a while that I can say I'm pleasant. I'm proud to be wrong.
I knew Society of the Snow was getting one tech category. I just picked the wrong one.
And AJ did not. I did not watch Golda for no reason. Thank God.
Had to be justified
now,
somehow.
now I have to, and you have already warned me that there is not one but two graphic vomit scenes in it.
Or two graphic vomit scenes. Yes, absolutely.
Great. Same for Naiad, by the way.
Well,
Great.
if I ever get that in the theater, then I'm gonna have to watch it just because.
For live action short film, I won't be listing it off because it's more the producers rather than the directors.
Just list the movies.
Yeah, so we have The After, Invincible, Night of Fortune, Red, White and Blue, and A Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar.
So Almodovar did miss. The Kreskin Award for giving away the spot before it happens did not happen with one note.
It missed both BAFTA and Oscar, even though the news report said it had got both.
And
They're gonna
all
feel
three
really.
of us,
They should sue.
God, all three of us went with the very baity title of the Anne Frank gift shop. Title. I don't have to watch the movie. I don't know anything about it. I'm just going by the title. I'm not trying to put any disrespect on anything. AJ got 3, which was Anne Frank gift shop and Invisible Border instead of Invincible and Night of Fortune. Frank Border and Note and Strange. Ashley got 1.
Thank God for Wes Anderson.
That's
Yeah.
Anderson for the win. Everything AJ didn't get, but he didn't get The After or Red, White, and Blue. And I got a 3, which means I didn't go for Invincible or Night of Fortune either, instead of going with the aforementioned the Anne Frank gift shop and The Strange Way of Life. Before we go any further, let's see. Favorite Forrest Whitaker performance? Quickly.
Oh, The Crying Game, maybe?
That's a good answer.
I'm split.
I know you're probably supposed to say The Last King of Scotland, but I actually Forrest Whitaker's so good at doing downplayed that I think that's where I'm more drawn to him. And obviously, Idi Amin is anything but downplayed.
Parsnip concurs, also mentioning Roots, the remake.
I'm split between Last King of Scotland and Ghost Dog Way of the Samurai.
Yes,
definitely. That's fair. I'll give you that.
See, that's what I was talking about, where it's like he's so perfect at downplayed, he was perfect for Jarmusch, and I love that movie exists.
All right, so we go a couple more things real quick. Brian has Makeup and Hair. Killers over Society. Live action was Anne Frank and Invisible Border over After and Invincible. Parsnip says, "No, AJ, you're supposed to say Battlefield Earth."
Oh God. I don't have any further comment.
So to animated short film.
Okay, gotta find it.
Where we have Letter to a Pig, 95 Senses, Our Uniform, Pachyderm, and War is Over, inspired by the music of John and Yoko.
You know what happened? I was this fucking close to saying War is Over.
Really?
The thing that held me back was, but nobody likes Yoko, right?
Oh God!
You know.
Need I? Let's refer you to Lindsay Ellis. Lindsay Ellis's. Well, I guess it's not on YouTube. It's on. Oh, what the hell is it called? Nebula.
Nebula.
Worth noting, I'm not like I don't really know anything about Yoko's actual music. I just know the reputation for the whole thing, and so I'm just basing on when I say nobody does nobody like Yoko. It's just how I know her. So it's not like a personal attack or
So
anything.
some of her stuff is good. A lot of it is very out there.
Mm-hmm.
Key things to note that I didn't realize. 95 Senses is from Jared and Joshua Hess,
Interesting.
the people behind Napoleon Dynamite and Nacho Libre, and
Gentlemen Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, I was getting to the fact that Jared is the one that's apparently directing the Minecraft film that's currently shooting right now. So I'm guessing that's where he reacted to it, on the set of Minecraft with Jennifer Coolidge and Chris Pratt, because he's in everything. I think it. Oh no, it isn't him. Oh, that's it. Jack Black's playing Steve. I forgot. And Danielle Brooks. That was an interesting set then today.
Animated short for Brian. Boom, Eva, and I'm hip over our uniform, pachyderm, and war is over. Parsnip says, I bombed over those shorts. Didn't even follow Joy Shing this year. That woman led me down the wrong path way too many times. Having said, I got 75.8, and the highest the editors were 77.
And it's also worth noting that Dave Mullins, one of the people behind War is Over, was the director and writer of Lou, the film that got all the praise like 6 years ago, I think. The short for with Cars 3. With the toys from the kindergarten box. That wasn't Toy Story, honest.
So you're throwing out these Gold Derby percentages, and so I just feel like I need to throw out there once again to Gold Derby that there's no such thing as an Oscar expert. That is a job that you guys made up for yourselves.
So, speaking of that, AJ got 2. Going with Dog Apartment, Eva, and Pete instead of Uniform, Pachyderm, and War is Over. Ashley got 3, going with Once Upon a Studio and Humo, which would be Smoke, instead of Uniform and Senses. And I got 3, going with Studio and Dog Apartment instead of Uniform and War.
And then we randomly jumped to the screenplays.
Yeah.
Which I guess also sort of don't get televised, because I don't know whether ABC showed both bits. Because I always thought with the first half they didn't bother. I can't remember. Anyway, so for adapted screenplay, we have American Fiction from Cord Jefferson, based on the novel Erasure by Percival Everett. Barbie from Greta and Noah Baumbach, based on characters created by Ruth Handler. Nolan's Oppenheimer, based on the American Prometheus biography by Kai Bird and Martin J. Sherwin. Tony McNamara's Poor Things, based on Alistair Gray's novel. And Jonathan Glazer's Zone of Interest, based on the recently departed novel, well, the novel from the recently departed, I should say, Martin Amis.
So, once again, a 5 for 5 for AJ and myself. Ashley went with Killers of the Flower Moon over The Zone of Interest.
There's not really a further comment. That was one of the simpler ones.
Very much so. And Brian went with All of Us Strangers over The Zone of Interest.
Yeah, another movie that totally struck out.
Yeah, it's a shame, too. It totally deserved to be here as well.
Then we get to original, which is interestingly worded on the graphics here. So Anatomy of a Fall has a screenplay written by Justine Triet and Arthur Harari. Then we have The Holdovers, written by David Hemmingson. Maestro, written by Bradley Cooper and Josh Singer. May December, screenplay by Sammy Birch, story by Sammy Birch and Alex Mechanic. And Past Lives, written by Celine Song. So apparently 2 of them were not written, they were screenplays. Whatever the difference is.
I'm trying to figure out how important the story credit is, because one thing that always bothered me was when Tarantino won his Oscar for Pulp Fiction, Roger Avery did too. And that's never sat well with me. It's like, how much did Avery really contribute? I know the gold watch was like his idea, I think. But winning an Oscar alongside Tarantino seems like a excess credit.
So Ashley and myself go 5 for 5. AJ went for a Hail Mary, going with Saltburn, which I think is probably a better idea. But again, Saltburn got nothing.
Yeah. I would have preferred Saltburn over May December, but I'm not really mad at May December for getting here.
I mean, with as little as it did the rest of the categories, I have a good feeling that I probably won't get a theatrical viewing of it.
And
Real quick.
Okay.
All the Brian said perfect for original screenplay. Talked about Oppenheimer being American Prometheus, the triumph and tragedy of J. Robert Oppenheimer, and Poor Things episodes from the early life of Archibald McCandless, MD, Scottish public health officer. Brian says, Ashley, can you have AJ do the honors to do supporting actress?
Yeah.
That's very thoughtful of you, Brian. I would love to.
We'll get there in one moment. In the novel Poor Things, Rami Youssef's character Max is named Archibald McCandless. Would Archibald or Archie been a suitable name for you? Or do you like the name Max McCandless better?
I mean, my dog's name was Archie, so I'm biased.
Yeah. That's a fair assessment. Air got nothing as well. Yeah, Brian, don't remind me. Everyone seemed to have predicted Killers for Adapted, but you all didn't. What was your secret?
I don't really. It just basically a process of elimination, because I felt like the zone of interest had to go in, and it wasn't going to be American Fiction or Poor Things or Oppenheimer that fell.
I've also double checked.
That's a good way to put it.
At least in my subscriptions feed, AJ's video is up from 8 hours ago, so I don't know what happened with your personal thing, Parsnip, but it exists.
Unlike mine, which still does not.
What's the percentage now?
Probably still 69 if I had to guess.
Nice. I eventually said it. So yeah, this is going to be interesting for AJ to say, because he gets to say the one that he really wants to, and the one that he doesn't get and understand.
We're gonna talk. Don't worry.
Well, first of all, it was really built up because they usually do supporting actress first. So I was really nervous all morning, and it was like, well, at least it'll be she comes first alphabetically. So if it's the first category, it's literally going to be the first thing, and we can get it out of the way, and my nerves can calm. And they changed it around. So
I figured they want to do it like that because they know that the last one that they say is going to win.
Yeah.
Whereas at least with supporting actor, it's open.
So are we on supporting actress?
Mm-hmm.
Where we have Academy Award nominee Emily Blunt. I don't know how overdue that is. She could have gotten something from My Summer of Love, The Devil Wears Prada, Sicario, The Girl on the Train, Mary Poppins, A Quiet Place.
Romeo and Juliet.
I don't know what. I don't know why this took so long, but I can't stop staring at it.
And if you didn't shout out AJ specifically when she got her nomination, you are not a true fan of the Popcast Network.
I loved her statement too, and the fact that she used Oppenholmies in it. So,
She knows.
Say it now.
but what's that?
Say it, AJ. You know you want to. Put your hand up and repeat after me. Say it. Do it now.
I mean, everybody knows I went Oppenholmy. Why would I have to declare it?
There it is.
Nice butt.
Confirmed. Put it on deadline. Yes.
By the way, Daniel Brooks and Devontae Randolph are here, which we know. But America Ferrera and Jodie Foster are as well. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, Jodie Foster does make sense because she had like SAG and all that.
Which
Um,
the big thing from that is that's her first nomination in I think 29 years.
Yeah, I think Nell was 94, 95.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what look, you know how I look up, I try not to look up comments because comments are fucking idiotic. When we pull up the live feed for the nominations, the very first thing I do is close the chat because there is nothing of worth in there. So what little comments I looked up, because of that masochistic side, I guess. America Ferrera seemed to be getting the most hate. Most of the what the fuck is this? Why is this here? Obviously, they set up a narrative a long time ago that this monologue that she has is the world's greatest monologue ever. It rivals Shakespeare and August Wilson and any of the other great writers of all time. I'm going to assume that's the reason. Like when you look at nominations of the past and you watch the movies and you're like, I don't get how this person got in, and then they have like one scene and you're like, oh, it must have been because of that. That's probably going to be what this nomination is down the line when people like 30 years from now are like, hey, what nominated performances were there in the past like 30 years ago? And they watch Barbie and it's like, how did she get in? And then the monologue see time and it's like, oh, I guess it was that. And then that's it.
So, I have to speak here, of course. I've been on the America Ferrera train since day one, before anybody really knew who she was. Real Women Have Curves, Sister of the Traveling Pants, that small role in Lords of Dogtown. That's before she became anything in television, and the fact that she's in one of my least favorite animated movies of all time, that's another story for another time. She's a voice in How to Overrate Your Dragon. Anyway.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Which is funny because another one of my connections is Mandy Moore, who I'm a huge fan of and I love Tangled, so it's kind of lopsided. So, August I didn't have it. My birth month of September, I decided to take a swing to run her, and I ran her September, October, November, right before we got rid of the 8 and went to the 23. I dropped her. And I kept saying that it was always possible she was going to eke back in, especially if they started to really like the movie. Well, we found out really quick that they don't know what they think of the movie, really, because some places like it, some places don't. They're kind of indifferent to it. And then people started to get in, and I was thinking it's possible, you'll see my reaction someday, that basically says that I was happy when it happened. Honestly, I'm happy for her as an actress because she deserves it. But I understand the dislike for this. And like I said in my video, and I'll say on here as well, I don't dislike Jodie Foster at all. I haven't seen Naiad. Chances are I won't.
I mean, she is good in it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really deny that. It's just, you know.
But like I said, sometimes I commit to the bit, and the bit was, screw you, Jodie Foster, you're not getting in. Well, I was proven wrong, and the second I said that, I was like, oh God, does that mean Benning's getting in? And immediately I said that out loud, too. It's in the video, there's proof. And I was like, thinking to myself, I don't think I said it out loud, but I was thinking to myself, who's she going to replace? And I was like, And I probably for a second thought Robbie, and I was like, I was scared to death when Benning got announced first, and we're getting ahead of ourselves because I was worried for Lily Gladstone. But then, because I was thinking it might be another situation from before, but thank God that didn't happen. And the Naiad train rolls on, and sure, whatever. But everybody else was pretty much locked seemingly from day one. There was almost no other 3. And then there was the 4 and the 5 that had to switch. So that being said, all of us got 3. So AJ went with the double for Sandra Hewler and Julianne Moore. And
I didn't have Hewler in leading.
I know. So he had Hewler for Zone of Interest and Moore for May December. And Ashley went with Penelope Cruz for Ferrari and Julianne Moore. And I went with Hewler for Zone of Interest and Julianne Moore. And of course, none of us got America Ferrara. And Ashley ended up pivoting at the last minute and getting Jodie Foster. But missed out on Danielle Brooks after the conversation that AJ had yesterday. Interestingly enough. Strange.
I also want to throw out that I'm not one of those people that hates the Ferrara nomination. It's basically the Jodie Foster situation where I feel like there's other people that could be there. And it does feel like it's more of a narrative inclusion than anything else. And especially, and it is kind of annoying also because I've already seen I think we talked about this way back in August. And we were talking back then quite a bit about Robbie not getting in.
Yes, we were.
And we were talking about a potential controversy where Gosling gets in and she doesn't, and they say, oh, the guy got in for Barbie and she didn't. I'm literally seeing people completely ignoring America Ferrara's nomination just to say that.
Yeah, just like they're ignoring Trier because Greta didn't get in.
People write what they're going to say before nominations come out.
Yep.
And before they even really take a look at the nominations, they will just go ahead and say what they'd already planned on saying. And it's really pathetic.
You're not wrong.
And these people get paid for this.
Yeah.
So I just need to check something.
So while you're doing that, I'll get to chat real quick.
Because people will hear it.
The fire inside from Flamin' Hot. I'm just Ken.
Yeah, so I have just verified. You'll have heard it on stream. The others wouldn't. So go ahead with anything else.
Had Barbie been in for original, I think Killers would have gotten in for sure. However, there was criticism, stupid I might add, that it was written for the wrong from the wrong POV, says Josie. Hi, Gabriel. Top Hat's back. Says, I knew Ferrera's exposure these past few weeks was going to help her get the nom. Brian says, Hewler and Pike over Ferrara and Foster. Josie says, the Foster Sans. Parsnip says, what's an op and homie? AJ.
I do want to... I think it was the first time I ever heard I don't know if she coined it herself, but the first time I heard the phrase was when Blunt did Colbert. I hope she coined it, but I don't know for sure. I was gonna say I would be very interested to know if anybody actually did predict the fact that Ferrara got in and Robbie didn't, because I feel like I would assume anybody that was predicting Ferrara was also saying Robbie. I would think.
Probably.
So I'd be very curious if anybody legit called that.
Gabriel says, so this category we have Ugly Betty, the villain from My Little Pony, and the hot air balloon from Trolls 2. Still a better nomination than Jamie Lee Curtis.
That's no way to talk about James Corden as a hot air balloon.
Parsnip says, I think Annette is getting hate because they think she knocked out Margot, and I don't like it. I feel Margot should have already won for I, Tonya. Agreed. But I would choose Annette over Emma.
I'm not sure. Well, no, maybe I am. I was gonna say, well, I don't know. because with Robbie you can't make this kind of math, but I am curious what the Benning-Hewler race was. Because you could say, oh, Hewler was probably ahead of her because Anatomy of a Fall did so well, but Barbie did well and Robbie's not here, so you can't really do that math problem like that.
No. Parsnip says the best Mandy Moore film is Chasing Liberty. I like that movie, Parsnip Burger, but I'm impartial to A Walk to Remember. Myself. Pretty much anything she's done I've enjoyed. I love Tangled.
I have the most hilarious memory of Chasing Liberty, and it's the only thing I associate with that movie.
Oh God.
I can't really tell the story. It's a non-story because I can't really give you the details, but it had come out when I was in school, and two girls were talking about it behind me. And this girl who was like anything but, it was the last thing you'd expect this girl to say. She referred to Chasing Liberty in what would now be a non-politically correct way.
Sure.
And it caught me so off guard that this girl said this. And the fact that it was about Chasing Liberty was so fucking funny to me. And that's the only thing, I'm pretty sure I've seen the movie, but that's my only memory of it, is what that girl said about it so unexpectedly. Like I said, total non-story because I can't tell you what she said.
No.
Because it's not okay now.
Parsnip says Emma won already, and that needs to win. It's not going to be this year. Josie says, as of now, I'm predicting Stone to win SAG and Hewler to win BAFTA. Oscar 50-50.
I was going to say, it'll be interesting to see where BAFTA goes because I wouldn't be surprised if Gladstone kept winning, but since she can't win BAFTA, I'd be curious what that would do to the race. Like if Gladstone got SAG and then Stone or Hewler gets BAFTA, and then where we'd end up from there.
Brian's talking about Ferrari getting shut out, and speaking of shut out movies, that means I get to see 4 2023 movies because of my series rules. Creed 3 and Ernest and Celestine, A Trip to Gibraltar. Brian says Godland because it is in the Criterion Janus line, and Asteroid City.
I completely forgot I predicted Godland.
We'll get there. Next.
So yeah, as you would have heard, chat, we get to original song.
Okay. Something tells me I know where this is headed.
Because I had to verify what actually happened with the Diane Warren situation. Because, yeah, we have The Fire Inside from Flaming Hot. I'm Just Ken from Barbie. It Never Went Away from American Symphony. Wazahale, Song for My People from Killers of the Flower Moon. And What Was I Made For from Barbie. So, going to the footage, it seems like, yeah, The Fire Inside from Flaming Hot was said, and there was quite a bit of whooping. And clearly, Jack Quaid lost his spot because then the words I'm Just Ken from Barbie came up. And then he said it, and then they had to whoop afterwards as well. So, I don't know whether it might be that people really like I'm Just Ken, or they really just do like Diane Warren. Because I'm pretty sure she got it last year as well. Or something akin to it. Then again, the advantage there was her song was like lower down alphabetically, rather than because it's Fire Inside, it's first on the list. Or maybe she did it on purpose, because then if she's first on the list, people that are just lazy will go, oh, I'll go with the first one. That's how she wins. The irony is the one that's at the bottom will win instead.
So, interestingly enough, in this very chat, which, again, you seem to know your stuff, chat. We're glad to have you here every single time. Josie is the one that said that the aforementioned song from Killers of the Flower Moon would be in this lineup.
I don't want to be cheap about this, but I still feel half right. Because even though I said the song from Past Lives, it was less that my prediction was Past Lives and more that my prediction was it's not Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah.
I just picked one because I felt like it wasn't Lenny Kravitz.
So, of course, all of us got 4 on this. All of us missing. Ashley and I went with Lenny Kravitz, and AJ went with the aforementioned Quiet Eyes from Past Lives.
Which would have been a great inclusion, but it's
great. Should be an awesome performance for the Killers song at the Oscars if it ends up going down. I want to see that. It'll be our RRR of the year. Spectacle in a different way.
Yeah, I was gonna say the energy won't be the same, but
Top Hat says never ever bet against Diane Warren. Brian also went with Lenny Kravitz, but we all know that since she wrote a song for an unknown movie, Diane Warren is going to be last again. Josie said, "So happy Killers got in for original song. I shouted you out in my video." Gabriel says, "Where are you?" There we go. Maybe they just really like Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
A lot of people do.
Or Becky G, which, again, I found out today that's who does the song. Speaking of which, huge credit to Beats and Quaid for their enthusiasm this morning. Yeah, wasn't bad. So the Killer song got in because of the song from the movie I Don't Talk About from last year because of its visibility. That's what Brian's saying. It's
conspiracy.
I'm trying to remember. I think apart from Tiffany Haddish, they're usually really good about picking presenters for this.
That are okay to be really energetic at 6 a.m.
Yeah, and they usually do pretty well. Except for, I mean, the one thing that was legendary about Tiffany Haddish was Andy Serkis had to keep correcting her.
I mean, you got to think if you didn't know, I'm sure you do, because obviously this took place in Beverly Hills, 5:30 in the morning, West Coast time when they were doing this. So you had to be 100% ready and raring to go and be presentable and be charming on camera for the duration of the 25 minutes you're up on stage. And they pick good people every year.
Yeah.
I mean, Quaid was an Oppenheimer, and I was looking into her filmography, and she's doing Joker, actually. She's doing the sequel to Joker. She was in the original Joker. She's doing the sequel.
So she's alive then. That was a big debate about the first movie.
Unless it's archival footage, then yes.
Oh, yeah, given... That's actually possible, given where that character went.
Very true. If you look back at all her songs, she's written some classics. Josie says it would be interesting if they awarded the song from Killers to honor Indigenous people. I would be completely fine with that. But I'd like to see Billie Eilish getting another Oscar. That would be cool.
I'd still say Billy and Phineas are the ones to beat, probably.
1,000,000%, yeah. Never forget congratulations to those men. Yeah. Says Top Hat. Haddish and Circus butchered Missouri, though. Yeah, big time. Don't know why, but I want Don Cheadle, Rosie Perez, and Danny Trejo right now.
I could see, yeah.
That's interesting.
I mean, Trejo's random, but I could totally see Cheadle and Perez doing it.
And Brian says to Gabriel, well, not this year. Next.
We jump to original score.
Okay. I think that's close by. Yeah, it is.
Laura Cartman.
First surprise of the day.
Laura Cartman for American Fiction.
Yes.
So continuing the trend of women making it into score. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, because yeah.
My response was John Williams? ? Okay. let me think of a narrative on this. Williams said he was retiring, so this might be his last chance to get nominated. So that might be why they went with it.
Didn't he say that about the Fablemans too?
Yep.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he totally did.
He's the Miyazaki of composers, basically.
He's Daniel Day-Lewis.
How- I know we haven't finished the nominees yet, but I do. Owen, how'd you pull American Fiction out of your ass here?
Heck yeah, let's go. Honestly, it's probably because I have a fresh viewing of it before we did our predictions. And the music just
That's the thing is I love American Fiction, but like I've said many times before, I don't really notice scores very often unless they're really prominent. So
I feel it's so understated. It's such great background noise. And sometimes score is really great to be background noise that doesn't really get in the way. It just kind of propels the story along. And if I forget about it, sometimes that means it's really good. If I don't forget about it, sometimes that means it sucks because it's way too in your face. And scores don't necessarily need to be that. No, I thought American Fiction fit here, and I'm very proud that I actually am the only person that said that. You can complete the rest, and then I can give the numbers.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that's surprising as well with that is it's literally got no precursors from anything, not even Grammys. So we also have the posthumous nomination for Robbie Robertson for Killers of the Flower Moon, Ludwig Göransson for Oppenheimer, and Jerskin Vendrix for Poor Things.
That score you can't get out of your head.
Yeah, it was sad and bittersweet to see all of the Killers people making their comments, and a lot of them said that they wish Robertson had been here to see, because I guess he was really particularly proud of the score. So,
yeah. And of course, if you're playing the home game, you'll see that Ashley and AJ got 3. All 3 of us got stifled by Spider-Man, not making it in here.
Yeah.
And AJ went with The Boy and the Heron, and Ashley went with The Zone of Interest. And I didn't have Indiana Jones because I didn't think that was going to happen, and it did. So there.
Between like The Boy and the Heron and Spider-Verse and the documentaries that could have leaked into international, movies just really stayed in their lane this year.
Very much so.
Except Society of Snow sneaking into makeup.
Yeah. Top Hat says the category where it all went wrong. Brian had Spider-Verse and Zone over Fiction and Indie. Smurfy Boy's back. Had to get the obligatory John Williams nomination. Yeah. Parsnip says Annette Bening should announce her retirement. Say it's her last chance. I don't know if that works for everybody, Parsnip, but you could try. Brian says, so far in many reactions, some were pissed that Williams got in. I was indifferent.
Yeah, I don't really care either way.
Yeah. Moving to
documentary feature.
Being you don't really care in many ways.
You take that back.
I sucked on this category.
Because we have Bobby Wine, the People's President.
Got brought up in chat. Go with it.
The Eternal Memory, which I think is interesting because officially it's nominees to be determined. So do they not like Pablo Larraín or somebody else that's Pablo Larraín? We have
that's it. That's him.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah. I would have thought about that. I would have predicted that one.
Yeah.
And also Mater Alberdi, who was behind the Mole Agent that got nominated a few years back. So then we have 4 Daughters, To Kill a Tiger, and 20 Days in Mariupol. So
okay, I need to get something out of the way. So number 1, I guess 20 Days in Mariupol is the one to beat.
Yeah.
I watched it, And I get why. They're telling you throughout the whole movie why you need to be looking at what you're looking at. But is it not every single year we talk about the documentaries, feature and short, where I say, I want to go the rest of my life without ever seeing another dead kid?
Oh, not again.
That's basically what the movie is. It's basically just look at the carnage of these attacks. And it's like 4-year-old kids and 18-month-old kids, and they don't make it. And you just watch the doctors doing everything they can, and it's fucking exhausting. It's people talk about like what are those movies that you saw once and you never want to see again because they were so rough. And it's like the meme at this point is to say Requiem for a Dream.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I just don't. If you want a real answer to that question of something you'll watch once and then you never want to be even near it again, and you get why it exists, like it's like literally like as a 4-year-old child is like dead, the doctor gets like pissed off and looks into the camera and says, film this dead child's eyes so they can see what they're doing. And it's like PBS, so a lot of it's blurred out, but you see enough. And this is my least favorite part of award season is the documentaries that are necessary. So that's what that is.
Well, all of us had a 2 on this one. Because none of us went with Bobby Wine or Internal Memory or To Kill a Tiger.
And I think this is where we need to bring up the fact that we had 3 major snubs if you look at a lot of the other awards in terms of documentary stuff. Even in the sort of other tech categories, like, you know, I don't think the editing ones have come out yet, but like some of the visual stuff and sound and things like that.
One was telegraphed from the beginning to get snubbed, and we all knew.
Yeah.
Still went with it though.
I was surprised it made the short list, actually.
So Ashley and I, of course, went with the aforementioned still a Michael J. Fox movie. AJ went with Stamp from the Beginning, and we both, all 3 of us actually, struck out on American Symphony and Beyond Utopia.
And that's why I single that out, because those were the ones that were prominent in a lot of the lists, and Oscars did not just recognize them at all. You know, as I say, we normally have one that's like, that missed? That's pretty amazing. The fact that we had 3, it was like, the Academy does not give a damn about documentaries, because I feel they might be that heavily behind Mariupol. Because that's their political stance this year, following on from Navalny from 12 months ago.
Documentary seemed like it was trying to pull what International usually does as far as snubs go.
Documentary feature, Brian had Symphony, Utopia, and Going to Mars. I had To Kill a Tiger originally after the short list because set in India. Basically, if there's a documentary on the short list that's set in India, it gets nominated. First, Riding with Fire, now To Kill a Tiger. I'm regretting taking Bobby Wine out. Parsnip says this should prove that in the documentary category, they don't pick celebrities. Not to get political or anything, but I will. Americans need to see it, AJ, because here you have Trump threatening to stop aid to Ukraine. If he's elected, this is a weighty topic. See, the good thing is, Parsnip Burger, I don't watch documentaries at all because they don't come theatrically, so I never have to worry about this.
I mean, it's that thing where it's like you don't want to get too into the. It's funny, we can talk about the content of the movie itself, but it's the idea of getting political in general is the scary thing to talk about. How fucked up is that?
I have I again, as always, I stay away from topics I don't know anything about, and I'm not going to make myself look like an even bigger idiot than I already do most of the time anyway.
without saying anything explicit, Parsnip's not getting an argument from me by any means. we'll say that.
And I'll say, remember, the category is voted on by the filmmakers, not the whole body, says Parsnip as well. And we are moving on.
It's a documentary short.
Okay, find it. There we go. Go ahead.
Where we have the ABCs of book banning, The Barber of Little Rock, Island in Between, The Last Repair Shop, and Nine Iron Wipo.
I like how you just paused for a second before you said it, like it was some sort of dramatic reveal.
Well, it might be Nine Iron Wipo, because there is an accent above the first A in the first nine or the first nay or nay. There's an accent above the one, so I don't think it's. I don't think it's as I said it.
So
the key
AJ
thing
and
to
Ashley.
note, which I didn't know, but I'm not saying he's a contender, but keep your eye on The Last Repair Shop, because it is from the award-winning director of The Queen of Basketball from 2 years ago. Well, I guess, yeah. No, yeah, it would be 2 years ago, because it was the 2021 film that won at the 2022 Oscars, so.
Yeah, because he's a composer also, isn't he?
His co-producer, I think, is Chris Bowers, who literally did the score for Color Purple, so he's got a lot of things in the race. We'll get to that in a minute.
We'll also get to the fact that documentary short, AJ and Ashley both got 2. We all ended up going with Black Girls Play the Story of Hand Games. And Ashley and myself went with Deciding Vote. AJ went with How We Get Free. And Ashley went with The Last Song from Kabul.
Yeah, the colon theory didn't come through this time.
Oh, it did, and I said that in the video, too. I don't really know anything about, like I said, I got 3, so I'm happy with the 2 of which I saw everywhere, 1 of which I kind of had to go with my instincts on, and the other 2 I was totally wrong about. So,
then
to
we
the
get
chat.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Documentary short. Brian had Black Girls Play, Camp Courage, Deciding Vote, Dreams Were Lighting, Rural Healthcare Crisis. Instead, said I got 1. It's a guesstimation game when it comes to the shorts, Brian, every single year.
Then to international feature, where, wow, that was the most safe international feature list I've actually seen in a while. So we had Io Capitano from Italy, Perfect Days from Japan, via a German director, but whatever. Society of the Snow from Spain, The Teacher's Lounge from Germany, and The Zone of Interest from the UK.
So all of us ended up going for Fallen Leaves here, and all of us obviously got those wrong. AJ went with Godland and 20 Days in Mariupol, and Ashley went with 20 Days in Mariupol and Amerikatsi. And even though it was said in chat the other night as a possibility, I did not go with Io Capitano. So I ended up getting 4, not 2.
And of course, I'm annoyed because I had said in the video that if I didn't double up on 20 Days of Mariupol, I would have said Perfect Days, which is what I should have done. So,
I think
a lot of things I said I should have done.
I think I've seen that trailer so many times now that I just had to nominate it.
Next.
Real quick. Brian had Fallen Leaves, Monk and the Gun in 20 Days in Mariupol. Parsnip says, don't copy Joyce Ng ever for shorts, Brian. Top Hat says, safe. Those guys were stuck in the Andes. Not safe at all. Moving on.
For animated feature.
Okay.
We have The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, so Disney at least made one nod. Nimona, Robot Dreams, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
I went another 5 for 5. And Ashley and AJ both went with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which would have made sense.
I really want to see Robot Dreams.
Same.
It just, I know, it just looks really appealing.
The key thing about it as well is it's 102 minutes and it goes even further than the artist. There is no dialogue. It is a 102 minute silent film. Or at least no verbal dialogue. There might be like noises and whatever, but there's no actual proper words.
So, of course, there's more stuff here. Top Hat says, had perfect days, took it out yesterday, pain. Not obviously talking about another category later on, but actually spelled out pain.
Yeah.
Animated feature, Ernest and Celestine. Instead, Smurfy Boy says, France must be kicking their own ass for not choosing Anatomy of a Fall for their submission. Yeah. Top Hat says, Disney canceled Nimona, and now here we are. Bet they wished they didn't do that.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
God dang it. Josie says, Mr. Top Hat, when you brought up being stuck in the Andes in reference to the sighting of the snow, I thought of the Idiot Box episode of SpongeBob where they pretend they're in an avalanche.
Because I've already cut off my own arms.
That's exactly the next comment she left.
Is
And Gabriel says, off to Robot Pirate Island.
So then, to production design.
Okay. Gotta find it because it's not in the order I have it here. God.
We have Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things.
So none of us said Napoleon. And we all got 4. AJ went with Maestro, and Ashley and I went with Snowball's Chance in Hell at Asteroid City.
It's tripping me out that costume design and production design matched.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here we go. Brian says, speaking of animated, I don't know what's with Janet Yang as the president. This is the second year in a row no animated film did not get any additional nominations outside of its own category. There's a problem going on with the Academy. Perhaps. Brian says, zone of interest over Napoleon, and Josie continues to bring up SpongeBob. On the note of SpongeBob, when I saw Poor Things the second time, we joked, are you sure you should be poking that? Who's the doctor here? Dying for pie, of course.
The heart surgery.
With the pie emoticon, of course. And the box for the idiot box.
Also, I like the fact that the BBC newsfeed at least might have given it away. Because I haven't managed to catch Poor Things yet, but the reporter did say about how the character committed kamikaze, which I don't know whether that's established at the start of the thing.
Oh yeah, it's like the opening scene.
Okay.
It's literally the first thing that happens,
It's just we don't know the context until the denouement.
Well, when Willem explains what's actually going on, it's probably like, what, 20 minutes in?
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah, so. It's all in what you could call kind of the prologue of the movie a little bit. The black and white portion.
That's a good way to put it, actually. Are we at...
We're into film editing now.
Oh, boy.
Where we have Laurent Seneschal for Anatomy of a Fall, Kevin Temp for The Holdovers, the Thelma Schoonmaker for Killers of the Flower Moon, Jennifer Lame for Oppenheimer, and Yorgos Mavros Posadis for Poor Things.
So, again, in the video that has not yet been seen by anyone, by even myself, I shouted out AJ immediately for having the wherewithal to go with the holdovers here. And this is one thing I've been saying since I made my predictions. I feel I made a mistake.
It's a terrible feeling, isn't it, when you know the right answer was there and you didn't say it?
Tell me about it. And Anatomy of a Fall kicked me in the face, too. Because being what we know now, it's totally going to be in editing. And I should have gone with it, and I never thought that way. Because we went with Barbie, and Ashley went with Maestro in the Zone of Interest.
And it's interesting because obviously I prefer Anatomy of a Fall. Anatomy of a Fall is a much more inspired choice too, but I'm still a little surprised it's not Barbie.
Same.
With the montages and the dance sequences and all that.
And of course, if you're playing along and doing math with us, you would see that AJ got 4 and Ashley and I tied with 3. To the chat. Film editing, the category that I had to look last because of that YouTube ad. I had Barbie over Poor Things. Says Brian. What is this? I can't read because the heart's in the way. Can you read that last comment, Ashley? There it is. Josie says, another thing my friend and I joked about when we saw Poor Things. Euro Disney Galaxy's Edge. You don't know how accurate that statement is, Josie. And I've been on both coasts of Galaxy's Edge, so I know exactly what you're talking about. How well it did kind of surprised American Fiction didn't get in either, says Brian. Yeah, tell me about it. But again, it's down to those likely 3, and then 2 possibly could make it. It was always going to be Oppenheimer and Poor Things, it seemed like. And Killers seemed really logical at the time, too. It's just what was going to be 4 and 5. Like we're repeating myself, but I mean it's true.
Then to sound.
Find it.
The first moment of AJ in sort of stunned silence. With the creator making it in here.
Yep.
We also have Maestro, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, allegedly Part 1.
A lot changed on the actual title screen.
Oppenheimer and the Zone of Interest. The key thing to note out of this, amazing to think, especially considering some of the more recent movies, at least, certainly from Rogue Nation on, this is the first Mission Impossible to get an Oscar nomination.
Interesting. And strangely enough, AJ's the only one that predicted it.
Oh, that's the only thing I predicted it for, I think, too, because I wasn't going visual effects, so.
None of us went with the creator. AJ and myself didn't go for the Zone of Interest, and I also didn't go for Mission Impossible either. So yeah, I got 2. It was my worst category easily.
Zone of Interest was one of those ones where it's like I should have said it. Like as soon as we were done, it was like I should have. Damn it, I should have done it.
I don't know. I was kind of blinded by this Ferrari thing.
Yeah. I wonder if there had been more racing in it, if that would have helped.
Oh, you mean if it would have been like Ford versus Ferrari instead of Ferrari?
Or
Yeah.
Rush.
Ashley and myself went with Barbie, and AJ and myself went with Killers of the Firemen. So
You got to do a Rush.
Rush would have been great. I wouldn't mind that. Josie asked, what number 6 was in editing?
I mean, I would say Barbie.
Yeah. I wonder with how well it did American Fiction or even Maestro.
Maybe.
Brian had Killers in Ferrari instead of Creator and Mission Impossible.
I really thought visual effects was the only shot the Creator had. That was wild.
Speaking of that, it's coming.
Yeah, to visual effects. Where we have the Creator, Godzilla -1. Worth noting here as well, that's the first Godzilla to ever get an Oscar.
Interesting.
Not even 1998.
No, that soundtrack was what made that movie. One of the best movie soundtracks of all time, and you can fight me on that one.
Guardians Volume 3, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. So not only does it get 1, it actually gets 2. And Napoleon.
Because reasons.
Oh, no. There's a very obvious reason here. There is one guy that is literally smug beyond his wildest relief. And that is Neil Corbould, because he did the VFX for Creator and Mission Impossible and Napoleon.
Holy
God.
shit.
He has 3 nominations in one category. I think that might be a first.
He's gonna lose.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's gonna lose to Godzilla. Yeah,
He's losing
let's
to Godzilla,
go.
exactly. The narrative has been created. You did it yourself, Ashley. Speaking of narrative, Spider-Man was not in this either. Apparently, all of us fell for it.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you say, "Oh, the new film's coming out in 8 months." Honest, and you haven't even given the VFX people, yet alone the animators, time to do anything. So, what a mysterious thing that it get delays by 18 months. Who knew?
I'll be interested to see some kind of reel or something. I hope they do that at the ceremony, because Napoleon is really fresh in my mind, and I don't know what the fuck this nomination is.
So we bring it up here because this is the last
it-
time that we discussed Napoleon in terms of nominees. So
Here's the thing. I just remembered that I never talked about Godzilla -1 either, but Napoleon's the one that's really fresh in my mind.
we'll jump to both, but we'll start with Napoleon. 'Cause it's the
This I
freshest.
gotta hear.
Well, here's the thing: is I mean, I'm not a fan of it, and you can really tell where the reason I was going to kind of avoid it initially was because Ridley Scott had said before it even came out, "Oh, I've got a 4-hour cut. This one's bullshit." So, so I was like, okay, I can just wait for that or something. But since it looked like nominations were imminent, I went ahead and saw it, and it feels like scenes are short. It's like it does feel like it feels like a 2-hour and 40-minute movie that is somehow still on fast forward. So you can tell that it's like cut down. So I'd be curious what he has in store. And it's also interesting that he had talked about that 4-hour cut's going to have a lot more focus on Josephine, which makes a lot of sense, because when we get to that last 20 minutes and she's basically like lingering in spirit,
Yep.
it's like she was supposed to be a lot more prominent in the movie than she was. So that last 20 minutes or so doesn't really hit as the way it probably should have. But the thing that I was noticing the most is, even though I'm not a fan of this movie, I've talked about my distaste for people going on and on and on about historical inaccuracies in movies that are clearly movies. And I'm a little more baffled by those claims because am I wrong? Was I getting the wrong vibe? Or is there a lot of Napoleon that feels intentionally absurd?
It's honestly, I laughed out loud many times, and I will say that I was not the only one.
It feels like there's a lot. I feel like the comedy in it is intentional.
It should
Like
be.
when he's fucking her is comedy gold.
Yep.
When it,
I agree.
Here's the one that where it really clicked, where I was like, I don't think this was intended to be a fully serious movie, was the line, "You think you're so great because you have boats," and he storms off. It's like this. There's no way this was meant to be a serious movie.
No.
It felt very deliberately absurd a lot of the time.
But I will say that there were times I was the only one laughing, and there was times that everyone was laughing with me, and it was very spread out. So it didn't make much sense what would get a laugh, whether it was supposed to or not, and what may have supposed to get a laugh and didn't. So there's a lot of things that felt super flat, especially in the showing I saw.
Yeah, the stuff that's laughable felt intentional,
I hope so.
which makes it a totally different movie. And like I said, the fact that people went in like ready to destroy for historical inaccuracies, I feel like, as usual, had the wrong idea. That it's not, and I think that's why Scott was so dismissive of those claims. I don't think it was ever meant to be that movie. It wasn't meant to be a history movie, I don't think.
Clearly not.
And there's something very aware in Phoenix's performance also, where it doesn't feel like he's playing it totally straight knowingly.
No.
and bringing in Rupert Everett to play the villain in the last battle scene, all of this feels like intentional choices.
It kind of reminded me of more like, I got like Hail Caesar vibes from it too at some points.
But by the way, I say villain for Rupert Everett, just the antagonist to Napoleon in this battle is what I really mean. So, yeah, so I don't know how to take it, but I feel like it's not the movie people think it's supposed to be.
Sure.
But we'll see. I don't know if I have the energy for a 4-hour cut now that I've seen this one, but like I said, you can tell how cut down it feels, so I am curious. And how much of a more Josephine perspective we would have in that, and if that changes the weight of those later scenes where she's like haunting him. That's how I feel about Napoleon, pretty much.
All right.
And then to cinematography.
Hold on. Chat.
Mm-hmm.
MST3K can say about Mark Ruffalo, poor things. Brando is Leguizamo as a washed-up Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, says Josie. I'd like that. Top Hat.
He does have an alternate universe Gaston thing going on, doesn't he?
I see that. Top Hat says, listen, the trailer for Zone of Interest is just flowers and wide shots. How was I supposed to have good sound? You're not wrong.
It's a Jonathan Glazer film.
100% you're not wrong.
What Jonathan Glazer film doesn't have good sound?
Brian, visual effects, Poor Things and Spider-Man. Instead, if you can tell, Napoleon is my bonus film. Yeah. Top Hat says it's huge because the Academy hates. Oh God, I have to read this. Hates that lizard. Even their love for monkeys wasn't enough to save Godzilla vs. Kong. Now, if Dune came out last year, who would have missed out?
Surely Napoleon. Surely.
Parsnips' response is Chalamet, Villeneuve, and Zendaya.
But Ashumiji.
Speaking of that, I can't wait for Challengers, by the way. Super excited for that one. They did nominate Lord and Miller for animated feature. Josie agrees with you about Napoleon. One review I saw was Josephine was made into a manic pixie dream girl. with the fairy emoji. MST3K Napoleon says Josie. Top Hat says, you mean movies aren't historically accurate? You mean to tell me Cliff and Brandy didn't destroy the Manson followers?
Who would have thought? Nobody.
Or the 2 seconds of Freddie Mercury sitting in a chair, says Brian.
Yeah, but the key thing about that is that never had a thing that said, you know, this is based on real events. Whereas, you know, Napoleon did.
God. Did you all know about... Go ahead, AJ.
I don't remember Napoleon ever saying that.
I mean, something in it.
I mean, they
end credits.
Yes, I mean, they do put up years and say this is when this particular thing happened, which I guess is a way of doing that.
Yeah, because, he definitely blew the nose off the Sphinx.
Dear God. Parsnip says, did you all know about the controversy surrounding Naiad? Which you know I love, but apparently many disbelieve the story, and several people have suspicion of Naiad's swimming credentials.
I heard just literally what you just said. I've heard that before, but not like details.
All right.
Also, because I just remembered, did you want to briefly discuss Godzilla -1 as well, AJ?
Speaking of that, before we go any further, I also went with the Society of the Snow as well. As like AJ went with Poor Things. We all missed with Spider-Man, and it was Ashley got 4 and me and AJ got 3. Talk Godzilla.
I mean, I do love it. Like, I was wondering what exactly it was going to be, because people were saying, like, oh, it's a Godzilla movie, but it's got so much heart and emotion behind it. And it's like, it actually works to focus on the human characters this time around. And I was trying to figure out where it's like, okay, that could really be anything. It's like, yeah, if it just, you know, if the characters are somewhat well written, you're going to be better than most of the human characters in most Godzilla movies. And it's like, is it just in comparison to the way humans have been treated in the other movies, does it just seem better? But no, there's like, there were almost tears from me in that final scene, which I really wasn't expecting. And they kind of snuck up on me too. And it's one of those cases where it's like, you would almost think it's a cop-out, the kind of happy ending that we have. But you just wanted that so badly that it didn't feel like a cop-out in the way like a more sentimental movie might. With that being said, I don't know how much I can say, but I get why the last 5-second scene is there right before it cuts to credits. I get why that's there, but I feel like it kind of undermines the emotional impact of what just came before it. But I understand metaphorically and just for, you know, the Godzilla character why the last 5 seconds is what it is. But in the idea of, yes, I don't know how much if I'm saying too much. When the question he's asked right before that cut is your war over an hour or whatever it is? And it's like, it could be the thing of that's something that never leaves you, and that could be what the metaphor is. But like I said, as far as the emotional impact, I would have cut to black at the hospital and left it at that. But I get both sides of it, but it doesn't do much for the emotional impact that last 5 seconds is there. But everything before that is fantastic, though.
I have a question for you. If I am to watch this movie, should I watch it in color or not in color?
I like the idea of the callback of making it black and white, but honestly, I don't think it would matter very much one way or the other. I mean, it's probably cool when like the theme kicks in,
mm-hmm.
and you see him going through the city. Seeing that in black and white will probably bring that back, but I wouldn't say it's fully necessary.
Okay.
To me, anyway.
No, I'd say that's fair.
And before we get started, before we go forward, I can actually say right now, the Cinemark close to the apartment actually threw me a bone, and I'm actually going to finally see Past Lives theatrically this coming week.
Nice.
Regal is getting like everything.
You
But
feel
still-
weird saying that sentence? I know you're in a different place now, but just in general, you must feel weird saying that sentence.
Yeah. But still no Maestro and still no Zone of Interest. They got a lot of movies starting this week that are back in theaters because of the nomination. Moving forward.
To cinematography.
Okay.
Where we have Edward Lackman for El Conde. Rodrigo Prieto for Killers of the Flower Moon. Matthew Libatique for Maestro. Hoyte van Hoytema for Oppenheimer. And Robbie Ryan for Poor Things.
I'm actually really excited to watch Pablo Larraín's movie. I was going to watch it like 3 months ago. And then I just got sidetracked and never came back to it. But I find him really exciting, especially visually, and the idea of the story just sounds really cool. Because I really wanted to see, was it his last? No, his last movie was Spencer. The one before that, Emma, I think it was. I think Emma and Spencer came out around the same time, but that one's been on my watch list for like the last 3 years also. So
Emma
this is the final motivation I need to catch up on his filmography.
Emma was his last movie, yeah. In between there, he did one of the episodes of Homemade, which was a sort of COVID short film thing that was on Netflix. And then Lucy's Story, the Stephen King adaptation.
So,
Oh,
AJ
wow. I forgot. We know what Pablo Larraín's next film is. Written by Stephen Knight and starring Angelina Jolie. Yeah, it's the operatic Judy Garland film, I guess, because it's Maria Callas, the Maria Callas biopic about her final years.
That should be very interesting.
So, AJ went with Society of the Snow. Ashley went with the Zone of Interest. I got 5 somehow.
Did you just basically hope the guild was right, or did you have some other feeling?
No, I saw El Conde popping up places, and I was like, "There's got to be smoke to this. There's got to be fire to this." And I was like, "This has got to happen. It just has to." And it was like, no one's gonna see this coming.
I like. There's got to be smoke to this.
There's got to be fire to this. I mean, there's got to be something to this, and you know, everything else felt like so set in its ways. It's that same thing. 3 or 4 pretty much locked. No conversation about those. What's going to make up the rest of them? And I started seeing the things about Larraín's movie, and it was like, you know, let's go for it and see what happens. And it's going to be one of those, what's that? And I can still say, what's that? But still, at the end of the day, I can also say that it was the right choice to make. And there's not many people I know that predicted it. So I'm happy with that.
So then to the big 4, I guess. Although 2 of them are boring as all hell. Because for best actor we have Bradley Cooper, because apparently it has to be said like that, because that's a big thing. We also have Coleman Domingo. Well, Bradley Cooper for Maestro, by the way, in case you didn't guess. Coleman Domingo for Rustin, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction.
I can literally save you the trouble and say we all three went 5 for 5.
That's why I said it's boring.
I think
to some extent.
I'm kind of surprised he didn't really seem to mention this in his statement, but something that I feel like deserves attention is because Willem Dafoe drew attention to this when he got in for At Eternity's Gate. Is the fact that Coleman Domingo is one of those actors that's like always been around, and he's always like in those reliable supporting roles, and he just kind of goes from job to job, and you kind of see him around, and then he's kind of slowly made a name for himself and found a spotlight quite late into his career. For an actor like him to come up that way, it's got to be a huge deal for your first Oscar nomination to be in leading. And I remember Willem Dafoe specifically said, like, all his other nominations were great, but At Eternity's Gate really felt special because it was leading. And how that's kind of not anything again. The supporting categories are awesome, but it's like more of an accomplishment when you're at the head of the movie and you get in. Yeah, I was really happy to see Jeffrey Wright because that BAFTA snub made me nervous.
Yeah, same here. But it really was that simple all along.
Yeah.
Took me a minute to get on the Domingo train, but once I got on there, it's like, honestly, 5 feels pretty locked. I don't really see anybody that's going to bump them out of this.
I really felt like Andrew Scott was lurking in the shadows, ready to take somebody out, but he just stayed there.
So did the movie, sadly. Brian had Zone of Interest and Cinematography over El Condi. Perfect for Best Actor. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but had Margot over Annette Bening and Tria over Gerwig. I guess we're getting, and 10 out of 10 for Picture. Take home. Gabriel says switch Domingo in at the last night, so yay. Indeed. I was hanging on to DiCaprio for a long time, and then the writing was already on the wall. I was like, you know what? I might as well just drop it. And the 5 just felt right, and never felt unright.
You were in Domingo denial for a long time.
I 100% was. I won't deny that.
I feel that needs to be a hashtag. Domingo denial. Then to actress, where we have Annette Bening for Naiad. Apparently.
I don't know.
Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon.
Thank God.
Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall. Carey Mulligan for Maestro. And Emma Stone for Poor Things.
So, Gladstone, Hüller, Mulligan, Stone. It's always what it's generally been. That's what it's been understood to be correct, and there was always going to be one person that was going to be the outlier. Well, AJ, of all people, which is interesting, went against Sandra Hüller here.
I got that. I knew to narrow it down to just one instead of the double, but I reversed them.
And he also had Greta Lee as well. And I can confirm now, reading the AMC bookings, that yes, I will be seeing Live twice this week.
I think Greta Lee was one of those things I was trying to will into existence.
Fair.
And sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, like me going against Naiad, that worked really well. Bening got in.
A lot of us went against Naiad.
No Margot Robbie here. Top Hat says America Ferrera is the first Honduran ever to be nominated in any category. That's cool. Apparently, Higher Ground, which is the Obama's production company, which produced Rustin, has a good track record of getting stuff in.
I was gonna say there was a whole conversation about about Robbie not making it, but I can't even remember what the segue was. But we already had that conversation like at the beginning of the video.
And I can confirm that I still have not seen Maestro by the end of January at this point.
We had a good fraction of the director conversation already too, talking about Gerwig and Trier.
Yeah, Top Hat says Greta Lee was a front runner once upon a time. Yeah, I remember those days. So of course AJ got 3, Ashley and I got 4, and we move on to.
The only thing I want to briefly mention here, because it's the bare little bit of stats and sort of inside knowledge. They used to do like a press release and whatever, and now it's just revolving around one film, which is Maestro, and that is where is it? Yeah, Cooper's only the 4th person now to direct themselves to an acting nomination on more than one film, joining Olivier, Beatty, and Eastwood.
That's a hell of a company to be in.
That comes to picture. But first we get to director. Well, I've also noticed there's an irony here. So we have Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, and Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest. Did anybody notice the irony?
Is it going to be obvious once you say it?
Sort of. If you don't put the films in alphabetical order and flip it, it's literally the reverse. The surnames are in reverse about alphabetical order, or if you do it by surnames, the films are in reverse about alphabetical order.
Interesting.
So I only did that because when we talk about it, I mean, that's what I don't get. If for the actors you do them in alphabetical order, why for the directors do you go by film alphabetical order?
To completely mess with us on nominations morning.
Yes, clearly.
Because our minds are so scattered anyway. It's like, I don't know what order this is. So I'm thinking about something that I probably shouldn't say out loud because I don't want to be a jinx.
We don't talk about Bruno?
Well, we don't talk about Nolan, I guess. But here's the thing. First of all, I don't know how many people are going to admit to this, but I feel like a lot of us were getting scared for Lanthimos at the last minute there.
Yeah.
BAFTA kind of scared Poor Things a little bit. It pulled through, but BAFTA really kind of put a fright in it for a second. But here's the thing, is the argument we were making yesterday or the day before, when we talked about BAFTA, I was saying that Payne was really making a stance in director. He was showing up in all the places he needed to show up. And the argument I was making was if Payne gets in, especially if Sessa could have gotten in, if the Holdovers was top 2, and it was Oppenheimer and the Holdovers at the top.
Yep.
Number one, I guess the question now is, did the nominations in general put Poor Things back in second? And the second question is Oppenheimer eyeing the finish line?
Unless something comes in, and okay, if something other than Oppenheimer wins PGA, which I don't see that happening, there's no way it's losing.
Yeah, because the argument for the holdovers being its main competition was Randolph is a given, Giamatti's really fighting for it, and it's potentially it's clear now that Anatomy of Fall is a competitor.
Yeah, it is.
But the holdovers is also another likely. Anatomy of Fall and the holdovers are the ones fighting for original screenplay.
Certainly.
So let's say the holdovers gets all three of those wins, hypothetically.
Okay.
If Payne had been here, I would have said Oppenheimer has a competitor.
Right.
But with Payne not here, and Poor Things doing a little better than we thought, given BAFTA kind of beating it up a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
does Oppenheimer have a competitor right now?
No. I literally don't say. I mean, there's a narrative for Killers, which there always was. It got a rejuvenation, especially with going with the song. But it also missed screen.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm trying to figure out how big the screenplay omission is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's stuff that hasn't had problems. You know, you don't like screenplay isn't completely necessary if your movie is, you know, more technically driven, which I guess you could kind of say about Killers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but the main thing I'm thinking about now, and like I said, I get paranoid because my favorite movie of the year is almost never in this position.
Right.
I'm basically by now I've kind of checked out, and it's like, yeah, this is gonna win, and that's whatever. But now that I like have a full investment that this could happen, I'm trying to figure out because I mean, is Poor Things what's behind it? Like the next behind it?
It has to be. The only option for Killers and Anatomy of a Fall.
Because I feel like is BAFTA the only reason Poor Things doesn't feel as strong as it once did? Is that the only thing holding it back? It took a lot of hits at SAG too.
So SAG's not going to help.
It did get Defoe, but Ruffalo missed, and it could have easily gotten an ensemble nomination and didn't. So yeah, I'm basically trying to get somebody to validate for me that Oppenheimer's ready to go. I know we still got like a little less than 2 months, and anything can change. The guild, like something crazy could win the guild, like when nobody was paying attention to Green Book, and then Green Book won PGA,
Mm-hmm.
and then that was basically the one thing it needed apparently.
Like, let's say like American Fiction or The Holdovers or Poor Things wins PGA. Then I would say,
if the Holdovers were to win PGA, I'd definitely be looking at it.
I would.
Yeah. Especially with that editing nomination. But the Holdovers would have been a massive contender if Payne was here.
I agree.
Like, I don't even think I was saying the combination of Payne and Sessa would have definitely said that, but just Payne being here would have probably, I would have felt like the Holdovers was the next one behind Oppenheimer if Payne had made it.
I agree.
But Payne not making it still doesn't necessarily declare that for sure.
It could still do quite well in the rest of the nomination lineups too.
Yeah. It'll be, I guess,
2 months.
I guess the real deciding factor of where the Holdovers ultimately ends up is going to be if it wins screenplay or not against Anatomy of a Fall. That's going to be a really interesting race to watch. Those two go at it in original screenplay.
I'll be honest right now, I don't know what direction I want to go with that either.
And that's not even to mention the Giamatti-Cillian Murphy race we're going to have. That's going to be really interesting to watch too. Especially if they split. Like I almost feel guaranteed they're going to split SAG and BAFTA.
And to the other boring one. Yeah, Best Picture. American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Meister, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and Zone of Interest.
It was so obvious, I almost can't believe
we copied something, I don't know, 10 for 10.
It's so obvious, I almost can't believe this is actually the lineup. But yeah, what even would have been next? Because we were saying The Color Purple, but
I said in my stream, I thought it had more text than it did, but I was like, is this where Napoleon just randomly gets in?
But then again, Shooting Loud and Incredibly Close got in a picture, and the only other thing it had was an acting nomination, a supporting one.
And of course, Past Lives is this year's Women Are Talking. Screenplay and picture, and that's it.
I'm disappointed that it underperformed, but that's one of those cases where is the fact that it's in the picture lineup at all, I feel good about. I'm just glad that it's here.
I'm glad I get to see it in a theater this week, twice.
This is
Parsnips didn't.
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't pick for Nyad Benning, but I did love the film. I did pick Foster. Brian says at 81, Scorsese is now the oldest nominee for director for Killers. Parsnip says, did you include Robert Duvall for directing himself to Best Actor in Apostle? I'm sure he was nominated. 90.
Yeah, he was. I think that's his only time, though.
Yeah.
Wasn't the statistic that it was more than once.
Yeah.
And Gabriel brings up Greta being the only woman to direct 3 Best Picture nominees, but not be nominated for any of them. If they weren't going to nominate Margot Robbie, then they could have at least nominated Greta Lee instead of Annette Bening. Yes.
That's the direction I would have taken, yeah.
That's what Smurfy Boy says. Josie says, as someone who works at a library with the book emoticon, the need for perfect alphabetization is both a blessing and a curse. And Josie also has the same question you did, AJ. With Meister getting it for Best Picture, Spielberg gets his 23rd nomination, Robbie's still not nominated for Picture, and Emma Stone as well. Lest we not forget, Holdovers and Anatomy of a Fall both have editing. Yep. It's Oppenheimer's to lose, says Top Hat, but also don't rule out Barbie. Its influence has proven quite strong.
The Gerwig and Robbie snubs, I would think, put that in jeopardy.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's not in editing when it really could be.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 3 pretty big hits for Barbie.
Yeah, Brian also says, if I would say at first glance nominations, if there were 5, I would say it's the 5 that were from the BAFTAs. That's logical, actually. I would think, given that's an Eric Roth screenplay, Killers would have been 6th. Josie mentioned Poor Things getting editing too, and remember Shape of Water, Green Book, and Nomadland won Best Picture without SAG Ensemble. So Gabriel says Selma only had song and picture. There are no rules.
It is funny we were talking about which one is Oppenheimer's competition between Poor Things and The Holdovers, and both Poor Things and The Holdovers don't have SAG Ensemble nominations.
Yep.
SAG got weird this year. Well, it wasn't as weird. It's not as weird in retrospect because the inclusions of Nyad seemed weird at the time, but I guess they weren't. But SAG still got a little weird.
Brian brings up The Blind Side, A Serious Man, Selma, The Post, and also brings up the fact that Extremely Loud, Incredibly Close, and Woman Talking, and now Past Lives. Greta did get nominated for Lady Bird for director. That's correct. Still didn't win, though. And Parsnip says, I thought I used the Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah, that thing about Gerwig not getting nominated, I thought that was just about, like, as a producer.
Yeah.
Yeah, she definitely got nominated for Lady Bird.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about Bullock being the only one for The Blind Side apart from picture.
And Smurfy Boy asked if the reason why America Ferrera got nominated was because of the Critics' Choice speech.
I don't know. Thought Critics' Choice.
And this is
There was
where...
one great thing about Critics' Choice. Well, no, there were multiple good things about Critics' Choice because it was also kind of an Oppenheimer show at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, the way Critics' Choice was really trying to push a Barbie narrative, and Ashley making the Warner Bros. Connection, which is something I didn't even think about beforehand,
Yeah. That
just makes it all
CW.
It makes it a little shady.
So expect a lot of ABC to be pushing Poor Things, you know, because Fox Searchlight Disney. Which is where I need to bring up the other thing that's on the Oscars A-frame or whatever the hell that thing is. Spielberg made history today with his 13th Best Picture nomination. And also... Oh, go ahead.
I said, did we bring up the Scorsese breaking his director record thing?
Yeah. Well, breaking his own record, so that's cheating. I don't know whether that was Spielberg breaking his own record. But it is notable that Spielberg and Christy McCosco-Krieger become only the third team of producers to get Best Picture noms in 3 consecutive years. Obviously for West Side Story and Fabelmans. The others being Osborne, Walsh and Jackson for the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And then the really clever one, D.D. Gardner and Jeremy Kleiner, because they had 12 Years a Slave, followed by Selma, followed by The Big Short, followed by Moonlight. So they had 4 in a row.
They were, yeah, I remember them being the kings of award season for a long time.
So the question is, what is Spielberg producing that's coming out in 2024? Let's verify.
I feel like we know this, but I can't remember.
I don't think it's that Apple TV stuff. So, filmography. Tell me what he's up to. Oh, he's not up to anything. I mean, technically, he produced Color Purple, so he could have had 2 in the same year. He's exec producer on Transformers 1, but I don't think that counts. Great, it doesn't say anything else. IMDb, save me. Tell me what he's doing, if anything. No, that's not what I asked for. Bloody hell.
Are we gonna reach a 2.5 hour cutoff?
It's very possible.
It looks as if it, yeah. Is made.
It seems to be close to our magic number lately.
Right, upcoming producer stuff. Masters of the Air, well, we know because that's coming out this week. He's a producer on Twisters. Somehow I doubt that.
It's crazy that Masters of the Air is coming out this week. I did a focus group for that like almost 2 years ago. I don't know. I don't know what the holdup's been, but
Talisman is a TV series, and everything else is either pre-production, development, or in production. And I don't think we're getting a Tintin sequel by the end of the year, so so it appears as if nothing, because he isn't producing the Thursday Murder Club, which is weird because you'd have thought he would have done. Then again, that's still in development, and he's also apparently directing a TV miniseries against Napoleon. So take that, Ridley Scott. Oh, I see. It's Spielberg following in the steps of Kubrick again. Because Kubrick was going to do a Napoleon biopic with Jack Nicholson as Napoleon, but instead decided to move to Barry Lyndon.
That was probably a good move.
The key thing to note, though, about this TV series is the belief is that there will be a Jack Nicholson cameo in order to nod to Spielberg, which means that'll be the first on-screen performance that isn't a Lakers game since 2010.
That would be
From
phenomenal.
Nicholson.
I've been pessimistic. There was that video quite recently where he looked pretty good and he was signing autographs. And they said, "Hey Jack, you got anything coming up?" And he just very blatantly said no. And you believe him. I mean, even though Wig was involved, who I'm not a fan of, I still kind of would have loved to have seen that Tony Erdmann remake with him. I think, if I remember correctly, it was the producer dying that kind of killed that.
Let's see. A little bit more on the chat. Now ABC is all in for Best Original Song. They want the ratings, says Brian. Gabriel says the ceremony starting an hour earlier this year. It makes sense they can't get the show shorter, so this is how they finish sooner.
Keep in mind they're also doing that because they want primetime stuff on their broadcast. Because the belief is that once the Oscars finished at 10, they lead off with a new episode of Abbott Elementary. So they want to try and ride off that to get high viewership from people that stick around after.
Usually it's the news, so I guess they learned their lesson. Brian says, I thought Spielberg could have produced Megalopolis.
Is that the Coppola movie?
That looks like it, yeah. Josie said, had a great time chatting. Goodbye for now. Bye, Josie. Best picture goes to producers, not executive producers, says Top Hat. And Parsnip comes up with an idea that, this is great, Ashley disappeared when I bring this up. I have a Discord suggestion, if Ashley can create it, where we all Popcastites make picks in the Discord with our predictions, perhaps a Google Doc, or if you know how to create one of those online polls, we can have our picks alongside yours. You can compete with us too if you wanted. So we out Gold Derby. I like that.
That's definitely an Ashley thing.
Once Ashley returns from the void he came from, we'll go ahead and figure this out, Parsnip Burger, honestly. We thought we were going to get it at 8:30, but no. Ashley
It's
just
still possible, isn't it?
close. I will say right now I can confirm officially because AMC decided they wanted to throw me a bone. I will be starting the day off with the Zone of Interest. I will be watching Past Lives, and I will end the night on Godzilla minus color. So yeah, that's my movie plans for Friday.
Gojira.
So Parsnip Burger brought up something while you were away. Basically said a Discord suggestion that everyone can make picks in the Discord with their predictions, like a Google Doc or how to create an online poll of sorts. Then we can have our picks alongside yours. You can compete with us too if you wanted.
I might see if I can look into Google Docs and organising it that way.
Well, I wrote something very, very special in Google Docs, so I know it works.
Because Google Docs work like my spreadsheets. That's what.
All right. I think that's our show.
Yeah, so that's your lot for this time around. We'll be back.
I really looked at this. This is all off the top of his head.
Are we done for the month?
We are done for the month.
Yeah. I don't need to do anything next week, but we will need to do stuff the week after.
Okay.
Because what with the DGAs on the 10th of February, we'll have to do our guild predictions before then. And then that probably times it right, because then the following week would be doing BAFTA predictions, and then independent. Well, would that there'd be a BAFTA live post show, because we could probably legit do that, because I'm guessing that's going to be in or around 5:30 Eastern, depending how long BAFTA decides to go with their ceremony. But that the day after we'll have to do predictions for the Spirits, because that's the week after, the same weekend as PGA and SAG is. And then we'll probably do a SAG post show, and then we'll wrap the PGA and the DGA stuff into the Spirit post show, / even if it's the day after, because I don't really want to do the Spirits and then just have to do a separate 40-minute video the day after covering the DGA and the PGA, because the PGA won't be starting until after, because I don't know what the time schedule is for the Spirits either, whether they're following the same aim as last time and actually being, because they're just on YouTube and whatever, they just put it on in the afternoon rather than, or the early evening rather than the prime time evening slot as they traditionally would. Stuff to be determined, but roughly I'm saying, expect us probably next Sunday or Monday to be back here with our guild predictions. So about you get a week off. Unless, of course, you want to use this week to do. Then again, how long is it going to take for you to see Maestro?
I'm hoping it's going to be February, because if it's not February, then I may just have to just not see it before I do my prediction. I don't know. We'll look into it. Hopefully soon. It's not this week, I can assure you that, but maybe next week. I don't know.
We'll see. So yes, check out the other content also that's here on my channel. All the award season coverage from this year. Catch up on that, and again catch up on our reactions, both from past and from this year. My reactions are going to be in the live feed because I live streamed it. AJ's are already up on the videos tab section. Owen's hopefully will be. Did it move from 69?
Tomorrow, maybe.
Did it move from 69?
No.
Great. Let me right click that. You've also got the Popcast movie clubs to catch up on. Gaming with Ash and Snack Snashes, Owen's Voice of Liberty content and Sip and Snacks, AJ's movie reviews and verses. I'm now getting confused because I'm getting a notification that it's the channel's birthday. Whatever that means. I'm just checking to see if unofficially. No, it is at 69. There we go.
Ashley, of course, will be back with the catch-up videos in the next couple days as well to try to get us to where we actually are right now.
Well, I'm trying to work out now if I can fit in the McDonald's wrap that I need to do soon because it goes off sale like 5th of February. So, in order for people to try it, I'll have to retroactively say that I had it last week. Honest, even though it'll be tomorrow if I can get access to it. And then there's gaming stuff. continue on with the Contraband and Henry Stickmin, because they're ones I can relatively quickly put together. And there will be an Isaac video on Saturday as well.
Basically what Ashley's trying to say at this point, Ashley's kind of carrying the channel a little bit for a while, and we do appreciate that greatly.
Yeah, so with that being said, oh yeah, socials. Find me on Twitter at AshIsMyNameUK. Find Owen on Twitter at Sir Owen Disney. Also, the Popcast Network feed is there as well. At Popcast Network. AJ cannot be found on social media. And
I don't need an intro. I just want to say Academy Award nominee Emily Blunt one more time.
That's what I was going to say. That's what the thing is. That's where the intro was going. Just like Keith Richards is also happy for Oscar nominee Emily Blunt.
That's her full name to me now. She needs to have it put on her birth certificate now. Just Academy Award nominee.
ONEB. ONEB. With that being said, thank you for watching and listening. And until next time, everybody. Diane motherfucking Warren!